All right, guys, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to go ahead and see what we got going on in the charts, see how we ended out the week, and we'll look at any individual trade ideas that you guys have. Look at any charts or trade setups. The purpose of these live streams are to, ultimately review the how we close the week out and then look for trade ideas for next week. So anybody that has anything interesting or wants me to look at, leave a comment in the, leave a comment on the live stream. Try to keep your picks, try to keep your picks down to one or two so that I can kind of get to everybody and we'll just get right into it. So give me an audio check. Just let me know how my audio sounds so that I'm not just talking to and nobody can hear it. And then we'll dig in. We're gonna start the live stream. I'll go through the broad markets and then look at, I don't know, anything that's interesting, I guess, to me that really I think needs to be pointed out, and then I'll just start looking at your guys' charts. Okay, sounds like the audio is good, so let's get started. Triple Qs, that's, the area that I like to focus on. Again, there's kind of two areas I'm really focused on right now for a potential trend trade to the downside, which is tech and semiconductors, which is also tech. Just because it rallied the most off the lows. This is your January lows. It rallied, the most. So I think you're going to have the most potential downside in this one. But a couple things to look at before we just get carried away on the downside. This is the trendline support. All right, we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. And really, you can see that we did undercut this actually twice. Let me kind of look at that. See if there's anything I can mark. Maybe there. You might even want to just do that now at this point. Mark it down because we have multiple data points there. So let me just kind of clean this up. And we'll just, it's basically right. We're just going to call it right there. Okay, so that's our trend line at this point. I'm going to say is right there. We need to break this trend line right here. All right, that's critical for the next sell signal. So if we don't get that, if we don't see a break of that trend line, then we don't have a sell signal. There's nothing to short off of right at the current levels. So again, we called the short recently. I liked shorting it right up in here. We did catch most of this downside here. I did flip long down here and caught part of the upside. I didn't catch the last day. So you guys remember right here when it gapped up ahead of the Nvidia earnings, I had already flipped short because again, you don't want to wait for the exact level of resistance and the exact levels of support. If I find if I point out a key level, you don't want to wait for those exact levels. Typically, you want to be positioned ahead of time, and that's what I started to do. And then again, Nvidia earnings, I really felt pretty strongly that I didn't know whether we were going to gap up or gap down because it's just, you can't see it in the charts. There's just nothing there to go off of. But the charts did tell me that whether we gapped up, if we gapped up, they would likely sell into it. All right. And I'll kind of point that out and how I saw that in the charts. And then ultimately that is what happened. So we gapped up, I was already short, added to those shorts. In the after hours, after Nvidia earnings, I saw this gap pretty much right to my key level of resistance, 372. Now they could have put it all the way up here to 375 or this downtrend line potentially. But again, I talked about this as a zone of resistance. That was the area I was looking to add to my shorts. So I was going to add here, and if it went up a little higher, I'd add a little bit more, and then that's it. I wouldn't add any more. If it started to go beyond that, I'd actually be looking for looking to cover my short and just take the loss. But it gapped up in after hours right to that resistance level. Nvidia was gapping right to resistance. I added to my shorts. I added to Nvidia short as well as triple Qs. That was profitable. That was a nice trade. And it went all the way down to this support line. All right. And it started to break. My trend line, again, you guys remember, I just adjusted it. So I had my trend line up about here. It started to break down. And I said, okay, If we get the daily close, then, you know, we could have a larger sell signal. That was on Friday, but we didn't get the daily close. And now that we have multiple tags of that, we just need to adjust the trend line. So ultimately, we need to see a daily close, a breakdown of this trend line. You know, and the bigger the sell off, the better for confirming sell signal. But you know, because if it just barely inches below, it's just not convincing. We need to see convincing selling. We need institutions and lots of traders to recognize that that trend line is breaking and something else technically is changing, and you'll see that with impulsive selling. So unless we see that we don't have a sell signal. And then on Friday, back down to support, I put out a thing saying, guys, we're at support right now, so we could bounce. And I think that's, you know, maybe we do get that bounce, maybe not. Here's the other thing I'm really looking at. So the upside potential right now, we could do this, all right? We could run up and hit this trend line. That's possible. I don't favor it, but it is possible. If we do that, though, it's going to take out this candle right here as a potential reversal candle, because that is a large bearish engulfing candle on the daily chart. That is a outside day. You maybe hear people talk about outside days, which, you know, essentially is a bearish engulfing, where you gap up well above the previous candle's high and you close well above the previous candle's low. Outside day, bearish engulfing. We want to see follow-up selling. Now, this doesn't negate this candle. What negates this candle as a potential topping stick is if you get a daily close above the candle. We can kind of trade up in here and they can try to grind it up. But as long as you don't get the daily close above the top of the candle, then that is the top. So, you know, the way you could trade it, if you believe that there's more downside, is you set a stop somewhere above that candle, and you know, and then let it play out. So that's the way I think it's gonna hold. And so you could trade that again, that it's gonna hold. But if you see it break and you get the daily close, then maybe you stop out. The other thing is you have this potential downtrend line, so could kind of go sideways, and maybe they grind this thing sideways for a while and then just hit this trend line right here, but still keep the candle and hit resistance. That's a potential. All right. At the end of the day, we need to see this trend line break, all right, for the next sell signal. So that's what I'll be watching on triple Qs. Same with like semiconductors, and you really need to see these kind of break, only because Nvidia is kind of the pump stock right now. You know, the market seems to like to latch onto one. It's kind of the mainstream, the dumb money. They like to latch onto the hot thing. You know, like Bitcoin. You know, they do that. Tesla. They that was a pump stock, and right now it's Nvidia. And Nvidia makes up a huge component of this SOXX semiconductor ETF. That's at support too. And I did not modify that trend line. I did not move that trend line. That one's just been sitting there. So you can see support, support, support. We need to take that out. You see that break, and you see like triple Qs break. It's probably going to be the next sell signal, indicating that this whole uptrend for the year, all right, this whole uptrend for the year is now broken and changed, and we've entered a downtrend. Downtrends have rallies though, so again, if we see that, I'll be talking about sell the rip. And what I mean by that, in case anybody doesn't know, because what I get a lot of people in a downtrend, there will be rallies, and a lot of people say, oh look, it's over, we're rallying. And just like if you want to be a long-term bull, you want to buy the dip at support. With a bear trend, you want to sell the rip or short at resistance. All right, so it's like the opposite. So you break, you probably hit support, maybe you bounce, maybe you back test, maybe not, and you continue to drop lower with rallies along the way. Okay, so that's SOXX. And then Nvidia, I'll just kind of re-highlight that one in case anyone's interested. Again, you know, these trend lines I've had here for a while. So I had this one, it was resistance up here. Okay, so we were trading in this channel for a while. Then we broke. I highlighted that as a sell signal, and it was a sell signal. All right, you broke and you went down. This thing from that sell signal, even if you took it at the end of the day, went down almost 9%. Okay, then you rally, do a back test. And then on earnings, they were trading this thing way up here, right against that trend line. So that was very objective. When I saw that, I said, look, that's an objective short. So yeah, and that is basically what we you know, I added to that short there. So now it's but we're still trading below, down in this range. So again, I think this is heading lower. Probably going to go fill this gap, and that's good support down there. All right, so we'll watch this. If this continues lower, SOXX is going to break and trigger a sell signal. You'll probably see QQQs do the same thing. Maybe that happens next week, maybe not. We just have to wait. But the divergences that have been building on this one, as well as the QQQs and the semiconductors, the negative divergences tell me that downside is, you know, downside is near, very likely, and we're probably going to get those sell signals relatively soon. Whether we get another move up and make a new divergent high or not, the downside is close. Okay, so that is the Nvidia, that's the QQQs. IWM was kind of interesting because it has like this bear flag, but it didn't hold. It's still flagging. So you've got this flag pull. We're kind of flagging out, still holding that flag. So you want to see impulsive selling to trigger the next leg lower if this is going to play out as a bear flag. Don't have that quite yet because the buyer stepped in on Friday. So this will probably break when QQQs breaks. What else is interesting? Let's see. Gold. Newmont's kind of interesting, but it's just kind of trailing along support right here. You can see there's some support. So you've got this bullish falling wedge, and you have bullish divergence. If I zoom in on the PPO, you can see we didn't quite get the bullish crossover. They sold into it, so we don't quite have it. So maybe it wants to, you know, come down. You need to see that bullish crossover to help confirm that bullish divergence. Don't quite have that yet. All right, so we'll watch for that. If you get that, this is a bullish falling wedge, so you know we could be setting up for a breakout, but maybe it's got to do some work. You got that as resistance, and ultimately a breakout would trigger a buy signal, and the measured target would be the widest part of the wedge, which is about right there, and I've already marked it out. But it's basically putting us up around 53 bucks. So if that happens, miners should rally. This is the largest gold miner, so gold would likely be rallying. But I don't have it yet. So yeah, no divergence there. But we got lower low. I mean, it is negative divergence. It's just not confirmed. You see, you have lower prices from before, higher highs there, but it's just not confirmed. So we need to confirm that. All right, let's see here. Let's see. Yeah, and bear market trading saying check out the dollar. Yeah, I know the dollars is breaking out of that wedge and it's moving higher. I've been keep an eye on that. So there's the dollar. This is the dollar futures, but I've got resistance, and I have I mean it's essentially a breakout. You're running higher, so. That is that resistance. You can kind of mark this out. You've got former reaction highs. Let's see. It looks like we've got some resistance right about in here. So that's likely the next level of resistance. And, this is breaking out and moving higher. So this is more conducive of the market selling off. And that's kind of my primary trade right now, is the market sells off, the dollar potentially rallies, and the and gold doesn't necessarily. Gold could rally though, because here's what I'm kind of thinking. When I go to the interest rates On the interest rates, this is the TNX 10-year Treasury. Let's look here. On the daily, we do not have divergence. So no negative divergence on the daily. We kind of had it previously, but we burned through that. So I cannot say we have divergence on the daily PPO. It's there on the RSI, but not on the PPO. If I look at the hourly, you do have some divergence here. There's your negative divergence on the hourly PPO, and it's pretty much there on the RSI. So this is a divergent high, you know, right through here. And yeah, it's selling off. So could come down, hit the trend line. Maybe, maybe not. And then when I look at the daily, what I'm kind of thinking is maybe we spike up. We pop these former highs in the interest rates right here. Go pop, spike up. All right, that should spook the market. All right, the market, tech especially, because it's very interest rate sensitive, should sell off. And then if it starts to sell off, you might see money moving into bonds. All right, you might see, because there's going to be, the market's going to be selling off. All right, that money is going to be exiting, essentially buying the dollar, but moving into bonds, and that could push the interest rates down as there's a spike in money moving into bonds. So interest rates could be falling as the market's falling, all right? Because they're buying bonds. And if that's happening, if interest rates are falling, typically that's bullish for gold, okay? So you might see money move into bonds and gold because interest rates are falling. Falling interest rates bullish for gold. So that's a potential, but okay, so. All right, so that's that. Let me see what else is interesting. Homebuilders look really good. They look very interesting as a short. PHM, here it is. Now, yeah, they held support on Friday, so, you know, who knows. That's support right there. You can see the buyer stepped in. So maybe we're going to get another bounce here. Maybe a back test. I don't know. You know, I don't know if there... All I know is you break this support line, you should head lower. You've already broken the uptrend line there. You have negative divergence. This is a sell the rip stock, all right? So if it rallies, that's, you know, I want to add to a short essentially. And this should continue lower down to 65. So I like that one. DHI, same thing. The buyer stepped in on Friday, held that support line right about there. Okay, so maybe you bounce, maybe you don't. Maybe you flag out. This looks like a bear flag. Maybe you flag out a little bit more, then break. And those both look good. XHB is the ETF. Same thing. This one, I've got this pattern going on. So this is a bearish rising wedge. They pumped it to the upside. You can see, boom. And we're back at that support. Potential head and shoulders top, all right? Not my favorite pattern. I don't typically try to trade those too much, but you can see shoulder, head, shoulder, all right? And if you break, then you're probably gonna head down to this, let me grab this. You're gonna probably head down to the bottom of this wedge. Ultimately break. I think you probably just break, all right? And then widest part of the wedge is your measured target. That sets us up for a move. I already got it marked out, but just really depends on when you break, all right? And that sets us up down around 58 or so, near the lows, all right? And you get down near these lows, you're probably gonna go make new lower lows, guys, especially, you know, in the main stock market. If we start heading down to those October lows, it's just a dagger through the heart of the bulls who thought we've started a new bull market. If you guys remember, I don't know what the media is saying because I don't watch the news outlets, the financial news, but but I hear about it through, you know, just friends, family, things like that, people that watch it, and they were saying we've started a new bull market. That was the paradigm when, you know, and I said I still think it's a bear market rally, but I haven't been proven right, guys. Neither have you know, the bulls. So. But, you know, if we start to break down and start heading down towards those October lows, it's just a dagger through the heart of that entire thesis that we've entered a new bull market and very likely going to go make new lower lows. So So that's something to look for. Let's see here. What else? All right, I'm going to get into your guys' charts now. All right, I've gone on enough. STNG, this is oil tankers. So this is oil, but not necessarily, these things can sometimes go up when you have an abundance of oil. So if demand is low on oil and supply is high, then they need to store it, and the tankers is potentially, but also, if you're moving more oil, then if you're moving more oil, then these things should go up. That's fundamentals. On the charts, we're clearly kind of downtrending, but so is momentum. I don't see any divergence really that tells me anything. You're coming off a divergent low. Look at that. There's your bullish divergence. So this is bullish divergence. It's divergent low. Boom, breakout. I don't know. I don't see enough. It's probably it could be an isometrical triangle. Maybe pullback. I don't want to short this thing. That's for sure. It's right at the 200. So I think you probably pull back down to this support level, and then maybe that's where the buyers are sitting at. And you go like that, and then up here we'll see breakout of that is probably bullish. Should be bullish, depending on if you have divergence. But yeah, as of right now, I'd say this and then that. It's really hard for me to go beyond that with what I have. Natural gas. So natural gas, yeah, right at support, like I thought. So you're just sitting at support right now. If you're a bull and you like natural gas, this is a potential area you could buy at. Let me kind of clean this chart up. But there it is on nat gas. Oh, sorry. Every time I try to clean up my chart, I take away my volume. If anybody knows how to lock stuff, I know there's like a lock here, but I don't know how to lock the volume and stuff. You've got support, support, support. So that's it. You're at support. You're coming off of a pretty sizable divergent low. Sorry guys, I'm trying to delete this stuff. All right, there's your bullish divergence on nat gas. So this price action down here was divergent lows. You're now kind of trending higher, and it's an uptrend. All right, that's what it is. We need to take out this level, these highs, about $3, because you haven't made a new higher high really. So bounce off of this, take that out. You're probably gonna hit the 200 and maybe have a little reaction, but you take that off. I think it's going to be powerful, and I think I think you rally up to 482. Yeah, we'll call that for right now. So watch for that, but right now it's at support. All right, so that's it. You can buy at support if you're bullish. Square and PayPal. Oh, SQ. They call it block now. Is that what Square is called? I don't know. I haven't looked at this one. Let me check this out. Yeah, I'd say you're at support here. So you're making a new low. You're probably going to go make a new low, though. You get so close down to these lows, the algos probably want to spike it down, run a bunch of stops. I don't see any divergence either. Nothing on the daily that tells me that it's done going lower. So what I would be looking for is maybe they kind of hold it up, get this momentum to turn up a little, then flush it down. All right, take out these lows, put in a divergent low, and that would likely be an opportunity to go long and buy. But as of right now, it's at support. All right, or near. It's not completely at support. The trend line down here is support, and that's still about 5% down. So I don't want to buy it. If I had some divergence, maybe. Let's look at the hourly. You probably have some divergence in the hourly. You do have it there. So you could see how that trend line, see it support, boom. The buyers are sitting there. So you get another spike down. That's where the buyers are going to be sitting at. So that's where I'd want to be buying it. It's about 5% down. It depends on when you get down there. All right, so that is that one. PayPal. Someone asked me a while ago why I don't give out more tech longs. They were looking for tech longs, and they were looking for it back when triple Qs was still, you know, I mean, when like everything was kind of in mania mode. They were like, why let's find some tech longs. And that is, you know, that's just chasing, right? And I don't want to chase, because here's the thing, that's triple Qs, but if you guys look at the futures, all right, that is broken. So this is another reason why I say triple Qs is likely going to break that trend line. Look, support. This is a daily chart on the futures. Support, support, support. All right, breakdown, kind of a back test. Okay, look, they might hold this thing sideways, maybe even run up and do another back test. Completely possible. That will get sold into, or most likely will get sold into. So if the futures want to do that, then you're probably going to see another leg higher in the triple Qs. But ultimately, then that gets sold into, and triple Qs very likely breaks the trend line at that point. So this uptrend is broken. So it can go sideways. We can do that, but it's very likely starting a downtrend or sideways. But triple Qs isn't going to go up that high if the futures are not going to continue to go up. So maybe in the short term you get a little back test, and that would, you know, be a short term thing. But bigger picture, that's the trend line, guys. All right. So did I cover PayPal? I think I did, right? Oh yeah, PayPal. So PayPal. Maybe a divergent low, not confirmed. You need to see that confirm in the PPO, help confirm that. It is a divergent low down here, but it's not confirmed. So if they sell this thing down, could make another divergent low. It's just not confirmed. And this thing's in a downtrend. So I would not want to buy this. Let's see, looks like you got some support right down here. So this, I'd probably mark this trend line out, and I think you're probably creating this bullish falling wedge, but it's not shaped, it's not formed enough. You got one reaction, two. All right, this tells me we're going to have some more reactions down here. We're going to head lower. And then the buy signal, you can buy on support. I can't say this is support yet because I only have two reactions. You get a third, it would be support, and you could say you could buy on support, or you buy on a breakout of resistance. Until then, it's you know, lower. Lyft. There's your bullish divergence. There's your rally. This is basically your bearish divergence. That's a divergent high. It's right here. I got to kind of clean my chart up. There it is, right there. That's a divergent high, and trending lower. I can't make a trend line that tells me anything different. So I would say lower. Probably going to go fill this. Well, that gap's really already been filled, to be honest. If I had to guess, all the way down here, down to this trend line. Okay. I don't see anything else in the charts. There's no divergence. I mean, there is a big gap to fill way up here, but I just don't see anything telling me that that's going to happen right now. So, yeah, that's what I'd say. And then what was the other one? I know they said Lyft and Affirm. AFRM. That's an earnings spike. It's a big one, 28%. And in general, like fundamentals, like this is Affirm. They do a buy now, pay later thing. Like, is that bullish for the economy that the consumer has to pay later? I mean, that doesn't show a strong consumer. If the consumer's borrowing and has to pay later, but in general, you're probably going to make a slightly divergent high. All right, here's some resistance. 28% up on earnings. There's probably some momentum there. I could see it popping these highs, putting in a divergent high. So it'll be like that. And that would be a divergent high that will likely get sold into. So that's what I'd be looking for. I don't want to short this thing right here after a 28%. There's no resistance there. I think you put in a divergent high and then roll over. Let me see if there's anything else telling me anything differently. That's a divergent low right there. So yeah, you're rallying. So yeah, I don't know how high it could go though. You know, that's the thing. You've got some resistance right here. So I think you pop these highs, probably hit that 2150, then maybe reverse. So you could watch for, you know, probably need to narrow it down to the hourly to find your entry. Okay, URI and Disney. URI is the industrials, right? Or the rental one, United Rentals. Yeah, rental one. All right, so instantly, I haven't even looked at the divergence, but I see, look at that little marginal new high right there. There's your performer high. There's your marginal new high. That screams of a stop rate. And if I look at the divergence, these are things you guys want to watch. You know, when you see breakouts, look for this stuff and it'll help you. All right, boom, negative divergence. That tells me that that breakout will likely get faded. All right, that means that when you're breaking out right here in the moment and everybody's frothing at the mouth bullish because it's just going up and they're only following price action, the divergence will tell you, nah, not so fast, right? So, and that's what it tells you. And then sure enough, boom, dagger through the heart, you know, stop raid, and a bull trap, whatever you want to call it. Now it's at support, so, you know, probably get a little bounce, but I think you're heading lower in this one, okay? Probably down to the 200. Looks like I've got a trend line drawn right here, so I don't know, maybe something like that. Not sure where this one came from, right there. So we'll extend that out. There's some support levels. That's probably 415.68 would probably be my target. This looks like sell the rip. All right, and then Disney. I think Disney was at support. Let me look here. Broke support. Let me see here. There's your COVID lows. I mean, guys, Disney is a huge conglomerate, and it's down near your COVID lows. The only thing holding this market up is the Magnificent Seven, basically. And we've already seen Apple break trend. Like, Nvidia is kind of a pump stock. So, yeah, maybe you got a little bit of, you know, that can kind of hold things up for a little bit. But it's one stock. And Apple, if Apple's going lower and Nvidia's going up, Nvidia moves a lot. So maybe if Nvidia is really going up 6% or something and Apple's down 2 or 3, it's kind of a wash. But Apple's an anchor, guys. Apple is so heavily weighted in so much. It's the largest company in the world, essentially, or at least our stock market, and it's an anchor for the market. This one's making a new low. It is a divergent low right now. It's not fully confirmed, so I probably wait for that to confirm. I think you're going to go test these COVID lows. 79.20 or so. You know, you're likely going to get a bounce at the COVID lows. All right. I think that's likely. But maybe they take them out and then recover. Things can get dicey when you get down such key levels that everybody watches. You get down here, the algos want to run a bunch of stops. So they do that, you know. So I don't want to go long this, not here and now. I need more on the charts to tell me to go long. And it's not even really a long setup yet. Maybe a little bounce off the COVID lows, but yeah. Covered Nvidia RF. I don't know what that one is. This is a financial. Major bank. Regions. Oh, I've heard of them. So a regional bank, or they're a decent sized bank. COVID lows here. Don't really have much to go off of on that. This was the big bank scare with the Silicon Valley Bank. That's what that was. It's a little too close to call. I'd say we're still kind of holding support. The big one that, I don't know, what I'd really watch for this, JP Morgan. There's kind of two for the financials you want to watch. It's JP Morgan and Visa. So here's JP Morgan. It's a breakdown. This is a bearish rising wedge. You didn't really have the negative divergence though. And the one thing is, it's not that impulsive of a breakdown. I took a short on this on Friday. I covered half my short. If I can add to the short, if it continues to break down, there's some support right in here. It's about 143, 144-ish. You know, you take that out, maybe I'll add back. It's just not convincing of a breakdown. It wasn't as convincing of a breakdown as I would have liked to see. So yeah, I'm a little lukewarm on it. It could recover. This could be a false breakdown. It could recover, and you're probably going to see a decent rally, maybe back into this wedge, and then break down in the future. All right, no divergence, not clean enough, just not clean enough. Why go for a trade when the chart's just not clean enough? And so regions, I don't know if it's breaking down. It looks supportive, and then Visa. There's Visa still holding this bullish trend here. Support, 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 still holding. So no sell signal there. Big divergence, big negative divergence. Breakdown's coming soon, I really think, but maybe pop and then break, something like that. All right, trying to work my way through here, guys. I'm gonna go for another about 20 minutes. Bitcoin, not my favorite. I never really believed in it. It's just a mania pump thing. I just don't see any value in Bitcoin, guys. But it doesn't mean you can't trade it. But nobody buys any products in Bitcoin. You can convert your Bitcoin into dollars and then buy a product with dollars. I don't even know how much of that's happening, but nobody prices products in Bitcoin. Maybe I'm wrong. Tell me where they're pricing products in Bitcoin. No, typically they price it in dollars. They'll let you convert. They're going to take your dollars. You can convert your Bitcoin for whatever price that it's trading at the point, at the point of sale. But it's way too volatile, and just, nobody's pricing their products actually in Bitcoin. Bitcoin is dropping, obviously. No real divergence that would tell me that this was a short right here. It's probably there on the hourly, but nothing on the daily. You're kind of at some support right here. I don't know. I don't have a good read on it. It's kind of at support. You maybe get a little bounce here. There's nothing telling me to short the thing, but there's nothing telling me to really go long. I mean, if you're going to trade long, then maybe you trade long just for a bounce off the support level. Vince, I'm on the live stream.
Can I play with a friend?
Ask Mom.
She said to ask you because she's going to go somewhere.
Which friend? Tell me which friend. All right. Sorry, guys. My kid's asking me if he can play with a friend. You drop it down to the hourly here. Yeah, there's some bullish divergence. So as expected, you're probably going to get a little bounce here. Maybe draw a trend line out on this hourly one like that. Tighten it up a little. Wait for a breakout, you know, a buy signal, some sort of impulsive green candle would give you a buy signal maybe for a little trade. Got some resistance up here. Just look for reaction levels. All right, 83 could be a potential target, and you know, maybe up here at 90, 75. All right, SQQQ, I don't need to chart that because I don't use those charts for anything. I use triple Qs and use your futures NQ. All right, and that will be, use that as your guide for SQQQ because that's your inverse. Already covered Nvidia, Palantir, PLTR. Big divergent high. See that? Boom. This tells you, this gives you clues. Now, divergence doesn't tell you, oh, I see a divergence, short the thing right now. I think, you know, that's not how you treat that. What it says is, all right, now have a short setup. The conditions are there. Let's look for entry points. And entry points are breaks on support. Now this one, it's tricky because, all right, my trend line, I probably just need to adjust my trend line. We're just going to move this down there, all right? 1368 will break of that would be your next sell signal. And if you get that, this is a thin zone. This looks like a pretty thin zone. You're going to probably flush straight down to about 1036. And I suspect this was a SPAC. Was this a SPAC? Opened at 10. I don't know. It's hard to say, but those SPACs I think were trading at 10. So yeah, it could head right down to that SPAC price, 10 bucks. So watch for that. Okay, where am I? TCOM, EVGO. Let me look at EVGO. EVGO. This is a retail. All right. Pretty new stock. Clearly in a bear market, just deeply entrenched. These are bear market rallies, really impulsive stuff. It's kind of a pump stock, I can tell. Opened at 10 bucks. It's probably a SPAC that came live during 2020. There was a lot of those SPACs that they pumped out there, just dumping garbage onto the market during the COVID liquidity pump. And they said, hey, there's a bunch of liquidity out there, let's grab it. Doesn't mean these companies are worth anything. This is a junk stock. I wouldn't touch it, to be honest. I mean, not with this down. This thing's probably going to go bankrupt. You could run down and make a new divergent low and maybe get a rally off of that. But, you know, what to look for, take my course. I'll teach you how to kind of what to look for in the charts to set up that trade. TCOM, what's this one? Trip.com. There's your divergent high. See that? So boom, negative divergence. So you didn't really get a look, lower, 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 even lower there, no divergence. And divergent high, negative divergence, likely going to get sold into. There's your trend line to watch right there on the daily. So you have negative divergence. A break of that trend line should set this thing lower, probably a lot lower, to be honest. Another one that I'm interested in, this one is on watch for the MGM, which is kind of on the lines. It's just like a leisure stock. It's the consumers doing great stock. You know, when people are gambling. And look, support, 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 support. Well-defined trend line. Okay. This high here, essentially, sorry guys, phone calls. This high here is a divergent high. It's just barely a divergent high on the PPO and the RSI. So maybe we got another bounce here. I don't know. But a break of that trend line would be the sell signal. Don't have that break yet. So, but something to look for. And then the like wins another one. Wins chart's not as clean, but look, just took out the 200-day. Downtrending. I think MGM's going to break soon, but I'll let you guys know if I see a sell signal on that one. All right, I'm going to see here. Skip around. Let me see if there's anything else that's kind of interesting because I've got about 10 more minutes. Let's see here. Someone asked, I do take profits on trades, guys. On Friday, I didn't go into the weekend heavily short. I covered a lot of my QQQ shorts because we were at support. I can add them back in any moment. I don't have to just sit there over the weekend and stay short. I think that's what a lot of people get wrong is they think just because I'm calling a downtrend line that I have to ride every single little bounce up, or if we're at support, I don't have to take. No, if we hit support, I'll take profit, and then if we break that support, I'll re-add into the short. All right, I didn't go home long, but on QQQs, but I took profit on that big drop down from the Nvidia pump to the drop. I took profit. It was a good trade. So now if we bounce, I'll look to reshort it because the charts tell me trending wise over long term it's going lower. So I look to sell the rips. All right, this bear market trader is saying a bunch of stuff. Let me kind of scan through this. Dollar milkshake theory, yeah, maybe. TMHC. TMHC. I don't know what this one is. Taylor Morse Home Corporation. Interesting. Yeah, good short setup, maybe even actionable. Let's look. Yeah, right there. Nice uptrend line there on the daily chart. Your negative divergence building for quite a while. This is home building. So again, guys, that's what I talked about, like the home building. The home builders to me look like a really good short. PHM's just one of them. This is another. Yeah, looks like a sell the rip stock. Now it's not. You're not in the most objective area to short. That would have been probably right in here. And it was tricky because it just drifted sideways. So as it was drifting, you never know, like, oh, is it going to do a back test or not? This one didn't. Maybe it wants to now. But negative divergence, broken up trend line, very likely trending lower. So sell the rip. That's what I see on this one. You rally into resistance. Right now, I would put resistance right about there. I'd put it right about there at about 47. You rally, you sell the rip, and should head lower. So yeah, that's a short, just not one I want to jump into right now. That's why I like PHM. That one was kind of late to the party, and so you know, hasn't gotten away too far from the objective short area. So yeah, but that's a good one. PANW. I know I've done that one in the past. Yeah, so there's the trend line that I had. You know, messy, but you know, boom, big huge gap up, massive gap up. So that's, you know, probably it's on earnings. So you know, 12% and right into resistance and getting sold into. So that one's very likely a short as well. Because this is the trend. That trend was broken. Back test, down she goes. All right. Right. Yeah, I could. Hey, A Magic is saying, you know, make the comments, make comments only available for members. I could look at that, guys, because I know that there's one trader, you know, bear market trader, who's just, you know, kind of filling up the comments. Usually I'll just skip through a lot of that stuff and maybe just grab one of the charts they want me to look at. But, you know, I could make it so that the comments for the live streams are for members only. That's, you know, I'll look at that. If you guys want me to do that, I could definitely do that. Part of the thing is I was trying to just open it up so we get more trade ideas and stuff. But obviously, we also get a lot of the haters that come in. Any kind of public channel thing that I do, I get just tons of, you know, people that ultimately just, they just, you know, they want, I don't know, they don't like the fact that I'm on YouTube, or they don't like the fact that I'm a bear and their portfolio's set up long. Or they just, you know, they just don't like me. I mean, they think that if I'm not right 100% of the time, I'm a shill. I get a lot of that, you know, because I can't get every trade right. And so I get one trade wrong. They say I'm a shill. I don't get all the trades right. I've done Nvidia and AMD already. So Roberto, I'll do Chewy. Thanks for your membership. Guy's been with me for over a year, or almost a year now, so appreciate that. Chewy. No divergence. Way oversold, though. So here's how I'd look at this one. There's no divergence. It's in a downtrend. This is one of those COVID pump stocks, too, back in 19. And maybe there's something there, maybe not, but there's no divergence right now. Bullish divergence on the daily. This thing's just plunging. And you got what, earnings coming up? You got earnings coming up, so who knows? I think earnings are going to be bearish, to be honest. I think you're going to go knock out these lows here, maybe put in divergence, maybe not. In order to put in the divergence, actually, I take that scenario back, because if that happens, it's just going to continue lower on the momentum. It wouldn't be a divergent low. Way oversold, like 17. Let me look how oversold this thing gets. What you want to do is check how oversold this stuff gets. It's the most oversold it's ever been. It doesn't have a whole lot of history, but it's definitely the most oversold it's ever been. But there's no divergence on the daily telling me that this collapse basically is over. Wish I saw this earlier. Let me look at the hourly. Starting to put in divergence here. So look, bullish divergence there, but you have no sells. Oh, sorry, wrong one. You have no buy signals. You know, you need to break this trendline resistance to trigger a buy signal. And you got earnings coming up, so for me, it's a no touch. You know, I don't want to be long this because I don't see enough to be long, and I don't want to be short either. Not here. I don't want to short up. That's chasing, right? If you're shorting it now and putting new short money to work, you're chasing. But I don't want to be long either. So you just got to let it play out. After earnings, check it out. The chart will probably shape up after earnings, and you'll find a trade there. All right, guys, I'm going to do one more because I do have to get going just a little bit early. So I'm going to do one more. Let me just scan and see if there's anything interesting in the final comments. Guys, drop me a thumbs up if you haven't done so. I do appreciate it. Hopefully you're finding value out of my channel and out of the live streams. Again, don't ever assume I'm going to get them all right. You know, I throw a lot of trade ideas out. You know, they're all objective, you know, they're all, you know, I'm trying to throw out ideas that, hey, are at least logical and objective. They make sense from a technical standpoint and from a charting standpoint. But, you know, that doesn't mean they all work, right? So we get 70%, 80% of them right, we're doing good. And then we just manage the risk on the losers. CCJ. So that's Carnival Cruise Lines, I believe. Let me check that out. CCJ. CamKO. That's I know what that one is. That's That's going to be the uranium or something. I think it's uranium. Probably going to get a pullback. You're building bullish negative divergence here. It's run pretty good, but no sell signal. No reason to exit, but yeah, there we go. Something like that. Watch that trend line there on the daily. It's a bearish rising wedge right there. So, and you have negative divergence. Doesn't mean it exit, but you know, if you're long this thing, you could just wait for the sell signal. But you're literally at resistance right now. But you know, they could pop it to the upside. But ultimately, if they pop it, it's probably going to fail. I think you're going to get a pullback on this one. But there's no sell signal. So again, like if I was going to short this, I would short it potentially right here because you're right at resistance, and I'd short on a break of this support. All right. So that's that one. Okay, guys. That's all I got time for. So if I didn't get to you, you can always leave a comment in one of my videos. I do kind of scan those and look for, you know, I do comment to people and stuff. So join the private member group. You know, I don't comment a ton to the non-members, but members that are putting out trade ideas or asking me questions in the daily videos, I do try to comment on some of those. So, and then I'll catch you guys on Monday. All right, take care.